290, and you're speaking with the Meeples Champion. And today, we're going to be going over one of our bigger games that we are excited about. Now, this isn't a big, huge game as far as physical size. It's a big game as far as popularity and actually being up for one of the top games of the year. This is a game I picked up at PAX East. The game is called Flamecraft. Now, Flamecraft is adorable. I feel like this is one of those games that when I picked it up, it kind of was like when I picked up Isle of Cats as far as excitement factor for it being popular, but also extremely approachable because it's just an adorable game that kids and people who may not normally be into board games because some of them are really dark or too abstract, this was a little bit more inviting, just like that game was. The difference is, well, that game is fun. I thought this game was fantastic. Now, the concept of the game is that you actually have one of the rollout mats for this game. And this is a long mat, so it's not a huge square board or even just like a regular, 2x3 size rectangle. This is more like a 1x5 size rectangle. And you start the game off with 6 shops, each with their particular type of dragon in it. And you are trying to go from shop to shop, and you get to do one of 2 things. First, you could gather resources. Now, if you do that, you're going to have every single thing that's on the shop, which every shop has 1 symbol, and any dragon in the shop, which there'll be 1 at the start of the game, and you gather their resources. So 2 resources for the spot. Then, from your hand, you're going to pick a dragon, and you're going to place it onto one of the 2 open slots if its symbol matches the available symbols there. Only certain dragons can be employed by these shops. If you do, you're going to see what the reward is for placing a dragon there and get that reward. Then you're going to go through all the dragons at the shop and pick one of them, and they're going to get to flame up. They're going to get to activate their ability and go and do it. There's 6 different dragons in the game. All of them, there's multiple versions of them, and they all share the same ability for their color. So you might have one that says you get to draw a new dragon. You might have one that says you can immediately play another dragon from your hand anywhere on the entire board. You might have one that says you get to choose. Do you want to go and pick up a new dragon, or do you want to go and grab 2 resources of the same type that match one of the types currently available in the location you're in? You might have one that says grab 3 different resources, 1 of each type, your choice. So you don't have to match anything where you are. There's 6 resources in the game, so you can get 1 of 3 of those 6. There is a bunch of those, as well as you also have gold in this game. Now, gold is wild, but also is a point at the end. So you can fill this in for things if you need resources. But remember, every time you spend 1, it's a point you're losing at the end of the game. Now, the other option is to enchant. In the enchanting area, what you're doing is the same start. You're going to take your guy and you're going to go move him into a new location. When you get there, you're going to see an enchanting row of 5 different enchantments. You're going to pick one. You're going to pay the resources for it. You're going to get its reward. Now, most of these should come with a reward of getting to move up on your actual points around the board. This is your reputation. So you get that, but it might give you also a draw of a dragon, or it might allow you something with a resource. But you get your reward, and then the board that you were going to, you slip it underneath. Now, it has the same rule. You have to match its symbol to where you're going. So if you have a plant symbol, but you're at a location that everything that's there is meat and blacksmiths, you can't use it there. There has to at least be a plant symbol at the location between the location and the dragons below in order for you to go in there. Once you do this, you slip it in. Now, you don't get to gather resources at all because you've chosen to enchant. What you do get to do is you get to activate every one of the dragons at that location. So up to 3 dragons you get to activate. And when you do this, it's going to allow for 1 option. You're not going left to right. You go the order you want. So you might say, okay, well, the 3rd dragon is the one that lets me draw a dragon. So I'm going to take that. And the 1st dragon is the one that lets me play an extra. I didn't have one, but now because of the draw, I do. I'm going to play him over here and get this reward. And then the middle dragon might be the one that says, I'm going to get to grab 3 extra resources. So you get to do that. And then once you're done with that, technically, done with your turn. Now, there is an extra step to both gathering and enchanting. The reason I haven't mentioned it is because I haven't mentioned what happens after you fill up one of your shops. There is a lot of shop options, but at the start of the game you only have 6. Whenever you've maxed out a shop with 3 dragons, you're now going to pull out a brand new shop and put it on the board. These shops, unlike the initial 6, the shop itself has an ability. So, whether you're enchanting or gathering resources, after you've placed your dragon, after you've picked which one you're doing, and you've either gathered resources and then put your dragon out and then activated the ability, or after you've enchanted, put your enchantment, used all the abilities, you then get to do the ability of the location. Now there's like 40 locations in this game. You're only getting 10 that are going to be randomly mixed in for each game. So I've only seen a few of them. Now the ones I saw was like, oh, you can either spend 3 reputation to get 3 coins, or spend 2 coins to get 6 reputation. So this is giving you opportunity at a lot of stuff. These all are going to be unique. These are all going to be very helpful. But that's the end of your normal turns. Now, what else can you do in the game? You have your regular dragons, and you have your enchantments. Those are your 2 main piles. When it comes to the enchantments, there's 2 different types. There's a purple pile and a gold pile. I played with the purple deck as that's the beginner deck. When you're a little bit more experienced, you might want to bring in that gold deck because it's going to increase the level of difficulty in the game. Beyond that, there's another pile of dragons, and this is a blue pile of dragons. And there's only 2 types of dragons here. Your regular dragons are known as the artisan dragons, but these are I want to call them the specialty dragons, but I forget the exact name for them. But you basically have moon dragons and sun dragons. Now during the game, you're going to be able to gather these based on either when you place a dragon down, the reward gives it to you. When you do an enchantment, it lets you grab one. You don't know what you're getting. It's always off the top of a pile. If you get a sun dragon, the way it works is, once you have the requirements, it might say you need 5 meat. Once you have that, you show the card, you pay its requirements, you immediately get reputation. But when it comes to those moon dragons, they're going to be an end of the game scoring, meaning after the whole game has finished, when you're in your scoring, you will then get to reveal them, and you'll get to see if you got their points or not. So for instance, some of the ones I had were, well, they wanted me to have the most meat dragons on the board. There's only 5 of each dragon, so it's not hard to get up to 5. But for every 2 I got a point. So if you got to max of 5, that was 2. And if there was the most of them on the board, you got a +3. And the most also meant, in a tie, it's friendly. So in my case, I got 2 points for the 5, because that's the most you can get for a point for every 2 dragons. And then, because I had maxed at 5, I was guaranteeing I had the most, which meant I was getting a +3, so I got 5 points. So that was a huge amount of extra points for me. But then there was other ones that would say, all right, you need to, at the end of the game, have 3 bread tokens in your area. If you do, you get 2 points. And then, if you also have the most of the bread, then you're going to get a +3. So I would get to 3 and know I have it, but then at the end of the game, I'm really tracking down how far ahead I am of my opponent on bread. Do I need to get a bunch of bread in my last turn? Because that's a bunch of points. So that's a whole bunch of those points as well. Now, the basic setup of the game is you're going to keep playing this back and forth. If you ever see somebody go into a location someone else is in, they have to pay them a resource to do so. They can't just go in there. And in a multiplayer game, if there's 3 people in a spot and you enter, you owe each of those people a resource before you can go in. Then, once somebody either makes it so that the deck that you're drawing from for the artisan dragons or for your enchantments reaches the bottom. So it doesn't matter that you have 5 face up for each group. All that matters is that the draw deck that refills that is empty. Once that happens, you're going to finish your turn, and then including you, every player gets 1 more turn. Once that's done, you score. You'll have your reputation where you are. You already have your Sun Dragon scored because that's how it works. You'll immediately score your money, so you can't have money fill into any of these dragons' requirements because money is scored before the Moon Dragons. Then you score your Moon Dragons, and then you see who wins. In the cases of a tie, you're going to first break that tie based on who has the most artisan dragons, and then you're going to break that tie again based on who has the most resources. And after that, if it's a tie, it's a tie. Well, that's the explanation of the game. Why don't we jump in? Let's talk our 7 categories and see where this one lands for us today. When it comes to the art, I mean, I said cute at the start and I wasn't lying. This game is unbelievably cute. The box is fantastic. The cards, the mat, everything about this is really, really top-notch art. Huge thumbs up. Your components. So the first and most important one to me is the board. The fact that you're not using a cardboard board, but you're using this awesome mat. This mat is fantastic. It's going to keep up for years. I don't have many issues with boards, but for instance, my daughter got into one of my games, and unfortunately, because of how a board is, and her being a little bit more aggressive than you should be, she actually popped the board and caused it to tear down the center. This mat's not going to tear unless she's got scissors to it. So that's a huge start. Then there's your cards, which is all the different cards you're drawing from, as well as the large cards representing your shops. These are really well done, really good card stock. They're not going to wear, tear, they're going to last a long time. And then there's all your different pieces you're grabbing, which are going to be your 6 resources and your money. All great cardboard. No issue when I pop them of anything having extra paper. That's always a concern with me, because then it could cause a tear into the actual piece, but none of that happened. And then there's your actual scoring piece and your dragon, which are all wood, and those are really good. For me, huge thumbs up again. Your price. This game is coming in minimum $50, more like $60. Now, is that worth it? For me, yes. You have the ability to pull this game out with friends, with family, with kids. I don't think it's too difficult for a kid to play. So you're getting lots of play with your non-normal gamer group friends. But it's still a good game for your gamer group. Now, I played at the basic 2-player, easy basic mode. I would say this is like a level below Clank. But because of those purples, it's going to get more difficult when you go your gold. And I expect that when I do, that's going to pop it up to a Clank level. And this goes to 5-player. So as you're getting more players in there, it's not like you're getting extra cards or anything. It's just going to get more and more crammed, which makes it more difficult. So I actually think that at 5-player, with just your purple deck, this could get more to a difficulty with a Clank level. And with the gold, you might even surpass it. So to me, this reaches so many groups that for $60, this is a steal. Huge thumbs up. Your difficulty. I mean, we just went over it. I mean, you're already talking about there being an entry level here for beginners and for kids. You're talking about having the ability to play with your family, your friends, and your game group. So I think an experienced player will be okay with it. And then as you rise up number of players and as you rise up difficulty of your enchantment deck, I think this gets to a point where experienced will love the game and experts are approachable as well. So for me, thumbs up. Replayability. I mean, I wanted to replay this right away after I finished. I do think this game is one that some people are going to absolutely love and be able to play 2-player or 3-player a lot. I'm one of those, but I know my wife, it didn't hit that way for her. When we played together, she was okay with the game, but she didn't love it. So I feel like she's one that she needs a little bit more difficulty for this game. So I told her, well, when your family gets here, because we're going to be having family in about 3 weeks, and we play a lot of games when we're all together. I was like, let's play it again, but let's play it a 5-player when they're here. And let's see what you think then, because I think the difficulty is going to pop up for you, and you're going to be more interested in the game then. And she agreed, so we are going to play it again at that point. So I think that makes such a difference for your replayability. Knowing, are you somebody who can play the 2-player? Are you somebody who really likes it at the 5-player? It takes about an hour. I don't think there's going to be any change in time, whether you're 2-player or 5-player, because it's not like there's extra things added or extra stuff expanded. It's the same amount of actual card requirement. So the turn I took for my 3rd turn is the same, or when it went her, my 1st turn, her 2nd turn, me 3rd turn. Well, the 3rd turn is just another person, and it's still doing the same amount of push on the board. So if anything, it just means you have more time to play in your turns. It might actually decrease in time. It's, obviously based on players. If there's anybody there that suffers from, analysis paralysis, well, that might slow the game down. But in general, if all the players are pretty good normal players, then the likelihood is that the more players you get is actually going to give people time to truly plan, and on their turns, they're going to fly through it faster. So for me, I think that this game has plenty of replayability. Thumbs up. Keys to victory. So what are you trying to do? Are you trying to go after pure points, and every time you see a point available, you hit it? Are you trying to gather as much money as you can so that you have a lot of points to pad at the end? Are you trying to go after enchantments, and you're trying to make sure that you have as many enchantments as you can? Are you making an effort to get as many sun dragons as you can and score them, or as many moon dragons as you can? Understandably, it's not like you can choose. Those are at random grabbed, but you can still focus in on them as a whole and just have a plan as to what you're really trying to do. You might end up grabbing a bunch of them and being like, oh, I got a hand of 6. Yeah, you could be unfortunate and 5 or 6 of them are of the same type. But the likelihood is you're probably 4-2 or 3-3, and you can really focus in on which one you want to target first or completely. So I think there's a lot of keys to victory here. Thumbs up. Is the game unique? This is such a unique game. I don't think I've really played a game quite like this. The way that the mat sets up the board design, the way that you get to enter the town and jump around, yes, that kind of reflects things like Scythe as far as, it's one big player, bottom of your player board of you choosing your action, and you can never do the same action twice in a row. You have to pick a new location. Sure. But there's a lot more than 4 here. You're starting with 6. You can get up to 12. And you're fighting it out with other people on these actions, and you have to pay people if they're at the locations. So I think that's a unique piece. Then you've got your different types of, well, what are you after? Enchantments, dragons, or are you going after your 2 specialty dragons for your moon and your sun? Because the moon and the sun are scorecards, but these other 2 all affect it. As you do more and more things on a spot, another person gets tempted to go there even if they don't need it, because they're like, well, I didn't want to go there because it's plant-based, but if I go there now, there's 3 dragons and 2 enchantments. There's 6 plants to grab. I can easily use those to go and use as my payment whenever I have an option to get points by giving people resources. So to me, this is extremely unique because there's so many factors I've just never seen together before. Thumbs up. Overall, what do I think? I totally understand why this is up for Game of the Year. I think that it deserves that nomination. Do I think it deserves to win? If it won, I wouldn't be upset, but I do think, based on the list I've seen, that there's a couple there that I think earn it more. That being said, I think that this game's fantastic, and for its price, and for what you're getting, and for the availability who you can play with, I would say that unless you just absolutely hate what you see, at least watch a how to play. Unless you hate what you see, buy it. Buy it for somebody you know likes games. Buy it for yourself. It's a great family game, just get the game. I think it's one that's worthy being on anybody's shelf, and I don't care if you are buying it for somebody that likes games but's never owned one, or if you're getting it for somebody or yourself that has a group like me. This game can fit into a collection. Highly recommended. Well, it has been day 290. We've been speaking about the game Flamecraft, and you've been speaking to the Meeples champion. Like, share, subscribe, and check down below in the description. I'll be adding in an Amazon link in case you want to get this game for your collection. Until next time, I'll talk to you tomorrow.